One, two, three, action!
Hello, positive believers! Welcome to the third episode of Motivation Philippines, and it is me again, Madale, your mind wellness coach. And today we are going to talk about three common words, yet very, very powerful, that we always hear and meet along the way as we go on with our lives. And these powerful words is number one, forgiveness, and number two, okay, that is of course acceptance, and the third one is letting go. And through this video, this episode, we are going to walk through on understanding what is acceptance, what is forgiveness, and what is letting go. And I will give you little tips on how to do forgiveness, how to do letting go, and most important thing, how to do acceptance. So I hope that as you come with me, we are going to learn and have a lot of understanding with these three powerful words. So we will now go to the first topic. And that's it. We are going to talk the first topic, which is forgiveness. Many people has been and hearing a lot of what is forgiveness is all about. Is forgiveness is all about just forgiving other people, or it is just forgetting things of what happened, or it is just like it will not happen anyway. So forgiveness is actually the process, or actually an action to forgive other people. In psychology, they also taught us that forgiveness is the conscious deliberate choice to forgive other people even though they have hurt you or harmed you in some ways. And even though that forgiveness is defined in such term, it doesn't mean that forgiveness you condone the act or you condone what happened. It doesn't mean that forgiveness is totally forgetting the situation or the traumatic experience or the hurtful experience. And it doesn't mean also that you also invalidate the feelings, the heartaches, the pain that you feel because of that certain situation. And when you do forgiveness, it doesn't mean that you forget everything. So if that is the case, what is the most important thing when we come and when we talk about forgiveness? Of course, because there are three important things when we talk about forgiveness. If you do forgiveness, it will of course free you from guilt, resentment, and anger. You will take out the poisons, those toxicity that you've been trying to keep in your heart and your mind for a very, very long time. The second important thing about forgiveness is that you actually let go of yourself and become free to have a more peaceful mind. You don't think of the person who have hurt you already, and then you don't think of yourself also as a victim who have been always been thinking that you are the victim, and you always been thinking that you of course you have been hurt or you feel very bad towards that person or towards that very specific thing. And the third one is that actually, in forgiveness, you try to become more positive by having and allowing yourself to be free and to let go of those negative feelings that you have. I know it is not easy to make decision, to make an action when it comes to forgiveness. So the next question is, how can I really forgive someone? The first thing first is that our mindset, the way we perceive forgiveness, greatly affects our action to forgiveness. So for you to practice and for you to put action to forgiveness is that you must first think that forgiveness is freedom and forgiveness is a liberation from those little tiny bad feelings that you have been holding you for a very, very long time. So if you think that forgiveness is a way for you to be free from hurt and pain, then forgiveness for you will be much more easier. But if you think that forgiveness is something that will not help you grow and will not help you free from the bondage of resentment and hatred, it will never be easy for you to forgive other people. So the first thing that you can do right now for you to have forgiveness at your level is try to go back within and ask yourself, why is it important for me to give forgiveness to that person or to the situation, or give forgiveness even to myself? Because once you understand the purpose and the reason why you need to forgive, you will deliberately choose consciously and wholeheartedly, and you will commit yourself that you have to give forgiveness. And there has been a lot of things that you need to understand when it comes to forgiveness. And one of that is that where and when does forgiveness comes first? Forgiveness comes first from yourself before you can actually give forgiveness to other people, because it is very, very common and it's very, very simple logic that you cannot give what you don't have to others. So if you do not nurture, if you do not understand, and if you do not have forgiveness coming from yourself, it would be very difficult also to give forgiveness to the others. Always remember, you try to check within yourself, where are you standing right now and how are you going to give forgiveness? And that is the very first step in having forgiveness in your life. And that is, of course, to see and to know whether you are ready to forgive or not. And we are now going to talk about the second topic for this episode, and that is acceptance. People nowadays would always think before that forgiveness is that you have to have acceptance, or to forgive rather is that you have to have acceptance. But today the question now is, do you need acceptance first to forgive others, or do you need to have forgiveness in order to accept what happened? But regardless of which comes first, the most important thing is that you have a little good understanding of what is acceptance is all about. Acceptance is making yourself present and making yourself mindful to what situation you are in right now. And there is one thing that will help you in order for you to accept what happened in the past, or what happened with your relationship, or what happened with the things that you're doing in your life, for you to accept it. And that is, of course, number one. Acceptance is that you have no control over the situation. Yes, you have to understand that what happened to you in the past and what happened to other people and how they relate to you is that you have no control over it. And once you have an understanding that these are the things that you cannot control, you little by little accept the fact that it happens to you, or it could happen also to anyone. And that will now lead you to the next question, which is, how do I react from it? So if someone have hurt you, or someone have betrayed you, and you have this kind of feeling of resentment, hatred, or vengeance, that is actually the feeling that you get because that is your mindset, or that's how you think you should do when people hurt you, right? It is so not easy. It is so not easy for you to just forgive others, okay? It is not so easy for you to accept things. But how you perceive acceptance and how you perceive forgiveness will greatly affect how you will react. So it's either you will fuel your hatred, you will fuel your resentment, or you will fuel your vengeance. It is up to you. But of course, you are going to ask this question, which action you think that will help you become a better person, or will help your relationship become better, or will help you save in this bad situation you are into. And of course, that thing is acceptance. So when you begin to accept the things that you have no control over it, you will now start to explore how will you react properly from those situations, either negatively or positively. And I'm sure that you are going to what? Choose positive actions. And one of the common positive action to do it is that you focus to the lessons you get. Because when you have already acceptance to the situation that happened to you, that you have no control over it, that you are actually the result, actually the resentment, the guilt and the feeling and the pain you feel is just actually the result of what happened. And out from this feeling of guilt, resentment, and vengeance, you get to choose now how are you going to react from it. And how you are going to react from it, you ask another one powerful question to yourself, and that is, what are the positive or good lessons I can take from this kind of situation? And when you see and focus to the positive output or the positive outcome or the positive results, when you try to start accepting, it will help you more and it will help you move to the better and higher level of acceptance. And you can only accept if you accept the fact that you have no control over it and accept the fact that you can actually find a way how to accept things. And that is, of course, focusing on the positive side of the situation. So if you are still wondering right now, why is it so difficult for you to accept the things? Because you're trying to accept the situation that has happened. What you need to accept now is accept yourself and accept the very essence and the very core truth that there is a person that needs to let go of that negative feelings and emotion, and that person is you. So if you have accepted the fact that you are the only person who can free from this resentment, from this vengeance, and from this feeling of hatred, you will understand the truth that you can actually move and finally accept the situation and finally be free of those negative things. So that is acceptance. Trina? Okay. Yes, I know we're back to the action. And that's it. We are now going to the third and the last part on teaching you on acceptance, forgiveness. And the third one is letting go. Well, actually, letting go is the act or the process of moving on from your past hurts and moving on from those little but very painful things that happened to you from the past. So there are so many people asking me like, how can I let go? You can only let go if you have understood forgiveness and understood acceptance, because letting go is the action or putting an action to forgiveness and acceptance. And how are we going to do that? There are three things that you can do in order for you to slowly, in order for you to move forward or move on with your past experiences, hurtful past experiences. And that is number one, in order for you to let go, is for you to have to allow it to flow. Those negative feelings, the pains, the heartaches, the hurts that you feel from the past, allow it to flow. The second one is actually focus on here and now. And the third one is you give permission to yourself, permission to forgive yourself, and permission to forgive others. So let's talk about first how to let go. And then the first one is actually allowing it to flow. Number one is negative feelings doesn't mean that we should deny it. The pain, the heartaches, or the hurts coming from that person or the situation, it doesn't mean that you have to deny it, and it doesn't mean that you have to suppress it. You have actually to little by little understand and actually little by little embrace that feeling. And only through that, allowing it for you to nurture, allowing it to be freely working and freely flowing into yourself, you start to begin now to understand why it is hurting. It is now you start to begin to understand why it is painful for you. And out from that little understanding, you begin now to let it flow naturally. If you suppress it, you are going to disrupt the natural flow. If there is an energy, negative emotions inside you, you have to actually release it. And that is just allowing it naturally. And the very common of that is, if you need to cry, just cry. If you need to shout out of anger and resentment, you can shout out from anger and resentment. And that is one way in order for you to release that negative energy coming from your past heartaches or past mistakes. And that's it. Number one tip in order for you to let go is what? To, of course, allowing it to flow naturally. The second one is to focus on here and now. The moment that you do not live already from the past, the moment that you do not think already that you are still in the past, and the moment that you think that you are actually now in the future, that is the very first step that you can understand that what happened has happened. Thus, when you believe and when you think and when you have already accepted the truth and the fact that what has happened in the past, it means there is no going back there. It means that you have a present to hold on to. It means that you have a present to live on to. And when that time comes that you have understood and you have come this kind of understanding and enlightenment that you are actually in the present, that is where you begin now to live in the present. And when you begin to live in the present, you begin to focus on yourself. And when you begin to focus on yourself, you begin to love yourself. You begin to self-care about yourself. You begin to embrace yourself. And these little things but powerful actions will help you let go because you do not focus on the past anymore, but you focus to yourself, you focus on redeeming, and you focus on healing. And the third one and the last one is how to let go is actually to give permission to forgive yourself and forgive others. It is true that when we try to forgive others, it doesn't mean that we need forgiveness we need forgiveness coming from other people. Sometimes we give forgiveness first to ourselves before we can actually give forgiveness to other people. So take note, I have said that you have first to have permission. You have first to have this understanding that you have to allow yourself be forgiven of those mistakes or be forgiven of those past things. If those people have hurt you in the way that you feel so bad and now you feel resentment and anger towards them, you have to begin in forgiving yourself that it could be you have allowed it, or you have to forgive yourself that you have allowed this situation to linger for you in a very long time. So the moment you start to forgive yourself is also the moment you start to understand why and when you should start to forgive others. Because we can only forgive others coming from the forgiveness that is overflowing from our heart. And that is through the three things that I have shared to you. Three things that I have shared to you is the beginning that you start now to let go or move on. Remember, we need first to have forgiveness, we need to have acceptance, and that is when we have those two things, we begin now to put into action, we begin now to put it into a deliberate, conscious choices or choice that we need to forgive and we need to let go. So if those many things, those people have hurt you so much in the past, you have to think of now. You have to think that this is temporary. You have to let it flow naturally, and you have to give permission to yourself that you need to forgive these little things about you, and you need to forgive also those people around you. So those are the three things that I've shared to you when it comes to let go. That is, you can always let go by allowing it to naturally flow. And then you have to let go by focusing on here and now. And you have to let go by what? Permitting yourself to be forgiven. Because only in forgiveness, you can begin to have a peaceful mind. So that's it, guys. When we talk about forgiveness, when we talk about acceptance, when we talk about letting go, I hope that you get something a little from this. And that is our episode number 3 for today. And that's it, guys. We are now done with our episode number 3 with the Motivation Philippines, and I hope that you've learned about acceptance, forgiveness, and letting go. Do not forget to click like and subscribe with the channel of Motivation Philippines. See you with our next episode. Bye-bye. Yay, 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 yay. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Cut to!
Space, right?
Avatar on the beat.